Hello ladies and gents, my name's Darren T, and I thought I'd just show you what I've been working on this week. Now I mentioned in yesterday's Q&A that I've worked on two main things this week, the storyboard, which I'll take a look at in a second, and some practice animations. So the first thing I worked on was this walk cycle, and I just wanted to get a practice into drawing a stick man and also moving him realistically. And my walk cycles up to now haven't been great, so it seemed like a good excuse to work on it. And overall it's turned out pretty good. The legs came out really well from the beginning. I had a little trouble with the arms. Because it's a stick man, it's really hard to see the left arm from the right. So as the right arm is moving forward from behind the body, as it goes past the body, it sometimes looks like it bounces back to the back of the body, when really that's the left arm moving to the back of the body. So I had to erase those a couple of times, but overall I'm pretty happy. And this was drawn by hand on a Toonz raster level, because that's how I intend to work out the main pacing for the stickman in the final version. So next I wanted to test a couple of things with his entry into the room. I wanted him to fall through the portal and land on all fours and be facing the ground, ready for looking down in the puddle and to see the vibrations of the water of the dinosaur walking. So I just wanted to check on the movement of the person as he landed and then tried to stand up later. And that came out pretty good. This also helped me work out my workflow, where I intended to draw the stickman on a Toonz raster level first to get the pacing down quickly, then I draw over the top in vector to get a neater line, but I'll go into that a bit more next week. And finally I wanted the stickman to quiver when he sees the dinosaur, but I don't want his whole head and body shaking like the whole thing's vibrating. I'd like to try and give the impression of just his arms and legs shaking, as though he's really nervous. And again, very simple manipulation of the vectors gave me this effect. So for the arms I keep the shoulder and the hand position the same, I just move the arm in between, same for the legs. And the second thing I worked on this week was the storyboard. So I'd already got an idea for the storyboard of what I wanted to do. I'd drawn some small thumbnails on paper, but I wanted to draw a larger version in OpenToonz to better visualise the story and the change in shots. So here you can see me drawing the stickman character falling out of the portal, landing on the ground face down and landing next to a puddle that's going to have concentric circles getting larger as there's a loud boom sound. And then I want to zoom out slightly so they can see the foot land of the dinosaur and look up towards him, as you can see here, and then zoom the camera out even more to see the whole dinosaur, and then you can see the scale difference between the stickman and the dinosaur. And this is where you see the quiver effect of the stickman shaking. Now drawing the dinosaur here I had a few difficulties with the fill, as you often do with vectors, so I have to move that around quite a bit to get it to work. And then somehow we're going to have the dinosaur walking off the screen, and that's where my biggest concern is in this animation, as potentially that could be quite slow and change the pace of the animation. And then the stickman just runs towards and jumps out of the portal. And then I was thinking it would make more sense to have a background, so when he first falls out of the portal, it's quite clear that he's outside, and when the dinosaur arrives, it's clearly a dinosaur era. And then I just adjusted the background to work in each scene so that it fitted, and added a couple of comments everywhere so I could see exactly what my thinking was for moving the camera and for fading in and out the portals and that kind of thing. But after watching it through a couple of times, it felt like the camera was very static and wanted to make something a little bit more dynamic. And after the dinosaur moved off screen, I thought it might be an idea to change the camera angle to view the stickman from behind running towards the portal and showing the portal getting larger just before he jumps through, and then finally moving to the side view again as he jumps through the portal, and then the portal would shrink down and the main screen would fade back to white. Now doing the storyboard this way helped me break down the story into 6 separate scenes, and this will help me work better in OpenToonz. So I change to a new scene whenever the camera changes, which gives me shorter scenes to work with and makes working in OpenToonz much easier as you have fewer frames to work through in the X sheet. So the first scene, background fades in, then the portal appears and the stickman character falls out of the portal and lands on the floor. The second one is viewing the character from behind on the floor, next to the puddle. There's a dinosaur stomp noise and the puddle echoes. The third one is back to the side where the camera slowly zooms out, the stickman looks up, sees the dinosaur, quivers a little as the dinosaur walks off to the left. He then gets up ready to run out. Then the fourth scene is running towards the portal with the camera behind him again. The fifth one, he jumps through the portal disappears, and then the background fades out back to white. And the 6th scene is not really a scene, but it makes it easier to handle. It's going to be the portal animation in a separate scene, and I'll load it as a sub-X sheet into the different scenes where it's needed, so I've not got to recreate it each time. So here you can see the completed storyboard. So we fade into the background, the portal appears, the character falls out and lands on the floor, he sees the puddle quiver, the dinosaur stomps, walks past him, he then runs off, heads towards the final portal, and then jumps through, portal disappears, and the background fades out. So the end date for the collaboration is the end of September, so I've broken down my task into 4 weeks, and that's week 1 gone, and I'm pretty happy with it. I've got myself a working storyboard, I practiced some animation in OpenToonz on some areas I wasn't sure about, and next week I'll begin the animation of the stickman. So I'll keep you updated with a video on that next week, and that's a guarantee.